Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. T Show. I am Dr. T, your host for this podcast. I would like to thank you for joining me today, and I invite you to follow this show as I engage in conversations with people from all walks in life, but all with one thing in common. That common link, they all have a voice with purpose. My hope in bringing you Voices with Purpose is to offer hope and inspiration and perhaps help you launch your voice with purpose if you have not already done so. Be sure to check out my website, drtconsulting.org, for more information and valuable resources. So my guest today is Rene. Rob is a former high-level athlete and near-death survivor whose life was transformed after a near-fatal accident. With a deep passion for natural health, Rob has become an inspiring keynote speaker, herbalist, and molecular hydrogen researcher, sharing his unique insights on living a pain-free and vibrant life. As a frequency medicine specialist, he uses cutting-edge techniques to heal, while his investigative work exposes the hidden truths behind the mainstream medical system. Rob is also the host of the I Am Pain-Free podcast, where he explores natural and faithful living, bringing to light topics like the censorship of natural health, the power of frequency medicine, and the ancient healing wisdom found in the Bible. Through his company, Exodus Strong, Rob is on a mission to help people break free from big pharma drugs and embrace natural solutions. With the launch of his transformational supplement, Exodus, Rob combines 2,000 years of biblical healing herbs with the scientifically backed benefits of molecular hydrogen, offering a path to better energy, stress, relief, and overall health. Welcome, Rob. I am thrilled to have you on the show today.
I'm excited to be here. Such a pleasure to meet you.
You also, yeah, I've read a fair amount about you already, and it's really exciting, all that you're bringing to the table in regards to natural health and healing and alternatives to mainstream medical models. So I'm anxious to hear more about that. But I think a good place to start is kind of where I started in your intro, this near-death experience and how that transformed your life. Could you go back and share some of that with us, please?
You bet. You bet. I started off, my youth as an athlete, right? I loved athletics, and I was a runner was the thing I just was the most, I was the best at. So I gravitated towards that and ended up being pretty good. I'd won a national championship when I was in grade school, and then I got a full ride running scholarship to a Division I college and made the U.S. junior team, and everything was just like going really, really well. And one of the things that I learned during that period that's important to my story later on is nutrition. One of the reasons why I believe I was such a good runner against my competition was I knew how to fuel my body really well. And so the Lord led me to some books as I was young, and I read how to use natural nutrients and food to actually fuel my body.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helped me a lot as a youth. But then in college, I made the U.S. junior team. I won an international race, and everything was going just perfect. My plan to be a professional runner at the top in Utah on a training run that winter. It's a 10-mile training run, and I was out and with my buddy, and we were doing our run, and all of a sudden there was a little clearing in the road, and I was going out to the clearing in the road. It was icy and snowy and a bad winter day. And all of a sudden, my buddy jumps in the ditch and yells my name. And I had enough time to turn around, and I see this 4x4
Wow.
truck just sliding towards me. And I had nowhere to go, no time to move, just other than I'm going to get hit. I'm going to get hit. And it hit me right in the square of my hip and launched me. It launched me 36 feet. And landed straight on my face, knocked me out unconscious. It was in pretty bad situation. I was unconscious on the side of the road, freezing because, I just had my running clothes on, and it was snowy and icy, and I was out cold. And so the bummer thing is I had a bloody nose because of the dry weather during my run. And that bloody nose ended up clogging my throat as I was unconscious on the side of the road. So it was a pretty dire situation. I'm laying there, not able to breathe, and out in the middle of backcountry road in Utah, and so it's pretty tragic. It was just a miracle that my friend realized that I was in trouble, was evaluating me, and he ended up unclogging my throat with his finger. And if it wasn't for him to do that,
Hmm.
I would not have survived. So that whole accident just made me know that God had a plan for my life. I didn't get my upgrade. And then, as part of my story, I ended up getting, I recovered from that. I went into a corporate career, and I had decades long of a corporate career. And that is an important part of my story, but it's not the end, because I ended up being very selfish during that period. And it was like everything I could do for my family. It was like, how can I get a better job, to make more money, to buy a better house, to be in a better neighborhood, to get my kids in the better school. It was all, I thought it was about my family, but really, honestly, it was more about me, right? What
Yeah.
can I do, and how can I do this, and how can I do that? And it was not, I was a Christian, but I wasn't a very good Christian. I was one of those Sunday Christians where
Yeah.
I'd go to church on Sunday, then as soon as the door hit me in the butt, I didn't think about my faith until next Sunday. And
Yeah.
so, what really transformed my life from a health perspective was the pandemic. I call it the second truck. So I had the first truck that changed my entire life. I was thought I was going to be a runner, and that changed my entire life. I survived that, and then the pandemic hit, and it had a really similar impact on my life that the first one did, in the respect that my whole life changed. I was, instead of going up the corporate ladder and making tons of money, my whole life just stopped. And that was actually really a huge blessing for me, because I was able to, for the first time, kind of look at what's going on in the world. And I learned about health again, because I wasn't healthy at the time. I was addicted to alcohol, and I was a highly functional alcoholic. I was doing really, really well, making tons of money. And it was like just living for me, 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 me.
Hmm.
So when this pandemic hit and I started doing a lot of research on the medical industry, it blew me away, really made me mad and frustrated what's happening with our world. And then
Yeah.
I did a parallel research on the Bible during that same time. And that's what was so beautiful, is I developed a personal relationship with my Savior during that period. And that combination just changed my entire life, my entire direction. And now I'm dedicated to help people with their health, because of that's what he's leading me to do. He's like, Rob, I saved you here, for a reason, right? I've almost died 4 different times. We can talk through that. Actually, there's 5 different times, and the last one was within the last year. So it's really, really amazing to me that God has me on this earth for a specific reason. And I believe he's here to have me here to help people with their health. And if I can help them with their faith through their health, then that's my goal. So that few minutes.
Wow. The show here is about voices with purpose, and so
Yeah.
your transformation led you to your voice with purpose. It sounds like you've had a mission, you've been goal directed, you've been skilled and talented, but that transformed you more internally. And you're right about COVID. It changed a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of structures, some for good. And fortunately, you were one of those, but many, it's done such a disabling and so much harm to, and we won't go into that. That's what
It's
not this
been
show's about.
devastating. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
been
but it was
devastating.
terrible, and the whole lack of science and everything else, it was my goodness. Well, we won't go into
Yeah,
that.
we can go down
But
some rabbit holes that we don't need to go
yeah,
to today, but yeah, I can go deep in those rabbit holes if you'd like, because I did go deep into those, because that's one of the things that woke me up to the craziness of the world, and our health organizations. They were literally taken over in the early 1900s.
yeah,
Our medical schools, and as I learned all this stuff, I was like, this is tragic. It's like I felt like I'd been lied to my entire life. I was 50 some years old, right? And I was like, holy smoke, how could I have lived so long with my head in the sand and not known any of this information? But that was really a wake up call to me too, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I live in a way different world than I thought I lived in. And I developed this skill of research that I want everybody to have, right? Don't believe what I say, Don't believe what Dr. T says. Believe what the Bible says. Believe that, right? But use that as one of your really strong sources of. But then don't believe what the media tells you. Don't because it's crazy the information that we're fed. It's an agenda, and once you realize that, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go start doing research about what does the Bible say first. That's where I always go first, and then if I'm not getting information from God or from the Bible, then I start looking for other sources of truth, and then I evaluate both sides of all discussions, and then I make up my own mind based upon my prayer life and what God is telling me. And man, everything's changed when I do that through that lens. That's been really important, and I think people need to do that because there's so much misinformation out there, and even AI today. I'm an AI specialist in health because AI is so amazing, can do so many cool things, but garbage in, garbage out, right? A lot of the information that's put into AI is bad information. And so it just regurgitates bad data back to you and you assume it's true because AI told you so, right? And it's just it's a really crazy world.
Yeah, you mentioned a number of things that are really important to consider. Folks need to, and you asked the question, that and you believed all this, and you don't know why. Well, the answer to that is still there today as to why we were told to trust. We were presented an image.
Yeah.
We were presented a medical field that supposedly was based on science, and much of it was early on. We've seen
Right.
lack of skill, a progression of lack of science, a progression of unethical behavior, a progression. We've seen all that progress. What was sold in the beginning was much more sound, but they've done a wonderful job along with mainstream media. You mentioned don't believe. Well, they present themselves in a pretty package and they talk nicely and they get the right voices on there and people that know how to speak and they get in all the tech and so it appears as something that we should believe. It's selling and they can sell it. And just
Yeah.
because things are wrapped pretty or have a good label doesn't mean it's true. I talk about that in my book Awaken. I don't know if you looked at that
Good
yet,
job.
but
Good
I
job. I
have
have
a
not read it yet. I'm excited to read it.
I
Yeah.
have a whole chapter in there about pretty packaging and things that are sold
That's awesome.
because it wouldn't sell otherwise, and it's still happening today.
Yeah.
But now the new techniques are stepping up, so those that are like yourself and me and others that are saying, "Hey, this doesn't fit and it doesn't sound right," they do everything they can to ridicule that voice, to discredit that voice, and if all else fails, then we see violent activity out there to silence the voices that are opposing
Right.
much of this stuff, and but, one comment I wanna make and, when you were talking about the 4 and going on 5 death experiences, from a secular humanistic standpoint, being a clinical psychologist, one of the things we teach from an Adlerian standpoint is that all behavior is purposeful and goal-directed. Well, I also talk a lot about there isn't anything sound in psychology that isn't rooted in Bible. But psychology takes it and things that are effective and things that work, they reword it, they put a different label on, like whatsoever is pure, honorable, of good report, and if it has virtue, dwell on those things. Well, we know that. That's in Philippians. But then the secular will say, well, you need to think positive and you shouldn't dwell on negative. And they will take things that they're all from the Bible because the
Right.
Bible is, as you said, it's our true north. It is the compass. And so things that
Yes.
I share, confirm it in the word of God. And if it's not confirmed in the word of God, then it's just the word of man. And man's view, and I've talked about this with people, if we take 100 people and we ask them any single question, you're going to have 100 different flavors of response. So which one of those is truth? Well,
Right.
they might all have a piece of truth, but no one is there. So what we need is we need a source outside of ourselves that's constant. And one of the definitions of truth is it doesn't change over time. Well, the Bible
Right.
is reliable. It hasn't changed over time. Man's views have. So we got to put
Yeah.
a lot less trust, whether it's medical or anything else, pharmaceutical, in what they're saying because it's changed over time and it'll continue to change.
Yeah, and then as unfortunate as I found out, a lot of the research is bought and paid for, right? So it's like, they want an outcome. They're going to get the outcome, and they have a
Yeah.
lot of money, and they make the outcome be what they want it to be, which is just it's just tragic, right? And it's just really frustrating that that is possible in our amazing country. So, but once you see that stuff, you can't unsee it, and then you just have to adjust, right? So I'm really excited about all natural health, and I'm really excited about even advancements in modern health. Because one of the things that I made a mistake of was leaning too far to the natural health side, right? It's like I got invested so heavily in all natural health that I was ignoring everything related to modern medicine. And that was a mistake, right? And I learned that. God taught me a great lesson in that and respect that, hey, modern medicine has some amazing advancements that they are doing. And not everybody in the medical field is bad. That most of the
Correct.
doctors and nurses, they get into it for the right reasons, right? They want to
Agreed.
help people. But unfortunately, the way our medical system is set up, they set everybody up for failure. They're so specialized that they can't look at the human as a whole. And that's really what you need to look at. We're a holistic being. God
Yeah.
made this temple so incredibly cool that it is designed to heal itself if you give it the right nutrients and the right makeup and help it help his body set it up the right way. It can do amazing things, right? It's not through what I teach people. It's not through nutrition. It's not through water. It's not through medicine. It's what God designed. So we just know what He designed and we help it. And then guess what? Your body can do amazing things. So
You
yeah,
know, holistic health is I mean, it's only common sense and logical, but I think there's a couple of points here. There's another reason why the extreme ideologies want to eliminate Christianity and the spiritual realm, and they wanna put faith or religion more from a cognitive standpoint. They want to explain it that, yeah, you need this because it helps you believe in something, it gives you hope and all that. But they want it to be cognitive, not a reality of a spiritual experience, because then that indicates there might really be a creator God who they want to
yeah,
eliminate. Because if you can't eliminate creator God and he's real, then you've got to abide by, well, maybe what his word is true. And then maybe a lot of their extreme ideology practices are against biblical principle, but that's a whole other story. When I mentioned all behavior is purposeful and goal-directed, that is also true in God's work, that nothing goes by chance. Anything that happens in our life when we commit our ways unto Him is purposeful and goal-directed. He will use that for the betterment of us and for His kingdom purpose, for eternal purposes. And so, that's a promise that is so wonderful that things just don't happen by chance. And God either dictates that situation or allows it. And either way you slice it, when we commit our ways unto Him, He will direct our path and He will turn all things out for good. And so we
yeah.
just need to be faithful and know He's the master of outcomes. But
Yeah, Romans 8:28 has been very special to me because it's, like, amazing 'cause I literally, like, I was down some dark holes, right? It's just like,
yes,
this is bad, and and it's like but he does, he works out everything for good, and it's like, I this last near-death experience, brought me to my knees. It was like, "Oh my gosh, Lord, I used to live for material things. I used to want to have the best gadget. Had to have wanted a nice car. I wanted a nice house. I wanted it. And it was, I still, even though had a personal relationship with him, I still looked at things from a selfish perspective. And now, literally, I've changed my entire life to flip that around where it's I living for him. And the only thing I care about in this world is at the end of the day for him to say, well done, good and faithful servant.
amen.
That's all I live for. It's like so I like wake up every day. I do my routine. I have a specific health routine, and I have a prayer routine, and I have gratitude. And it's like, Lord, lead my steps today because I want to be in Your perfect will. Because Your perfect will is perfect, and I'm just going to be Your servant, and whatever I can do to help His kingdom is what I want to do. And He's given me time and talent and treasure, right, to do this what I'm doing, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just obeying. I said, okay, Lord, if that's what you want me to do, you know, do I want to get on podcasts and talk to lots of
Yeah,
people? No, right? My selfish intuition is just to be in this little box and be private and just be me. But he's like, no, I want you out there. I want you to create a personal brand. I want you to go out and tell people about my wonderful health and this temple that I've designed. And I'm going to teach you about I've developed a light code system, I call it, because he taught me about light therapy. He's taught me about frequency therapy. He's taught me about fuel therapy. And he's taught me about faith, right? It's like all four of those are my light code. And so I believe that that's why he has me here on this earth is to teach people about the light code. And if I can help them, part of that light code is faith, right? So it's kind of the underlying layer of everything. But light therapy is super amazing, frequency therapy is super amazing, and how you fuel this temple of ours is really important. So that's anyway, that's where I've just transitioned from everything used to be about me, and now nothing is about me. It's all about him, and I'm just listening. I'm trying to be a good steward of what he's provided me.
That's absolutely wonderful, Rob. And you mentioned, light therapy and frequency therapy. What is frequency medicine? I would really like to know about that. I know our audience would. And then you talk about 2,000 years of ancient wisdom, healing and herbs
Yeah.
and so forth. So frequency medicine and ancient wisdom.
Yeah, sounds great. And those all are packaged in what I call the light code, right? So
Okay.
I'll do light real fast because light is really important. That's the one that's my most recent, but it's also very, very important. Red light therapy has been a really big, important part of my recovery from multiple health issues, and the learning about how God created light. Right, it's the first thing that He created. It's like there's a reason why He did that, and we as Americans spend way too much time inside with fluorescent lights on our bodies. We're not getting the natural light that we need. So that's really important as part of it. And then frequency therapy, like you discussed, when I first heard about frequency therapy, I thought it was crazy. I'm like, you're nuts, right? This guy comes to me and told me he had this patch that had these crystalline structures that had frequencies on it that could help me with my health. And I'm like, give me a break. That's just a little sticker. There's no medicine that's going in my body. I was like, no, right? But what I did is I went and did my research. I was like, okay, Lord, help me understand this. What is he talking about? I was like, how is the human body made up? And so I did research on the human body. I wasn't a scientist, but I started researching the human body. I'm like, oh my gosh, our body is made up of energy. And our cells, even down to the cellular level, our cells interact via vibrations. And those vibrations give off a frequency. And so these dots started to connect. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is a frequency? First that word sounded complicated, and then the more I learned about it, frequencies are just everywhere, right? Light is a frequency, color is a frequency, sound is a frequency. So frequencies weren't weird as I thought they were.
Uh-huh.
And in our body, God designed this temple so incredibly complex, right? It interacts with frequencies both good and bad. So then I went back and said, okay, now tell me about this thing. This is actually interesting. And when I found out you can apply these frequencies into your energy system that your body is, it actually helps and or can hurt. And so we've developed some really healthy frequencies. We have this skin patch that has microscopic crystalline structures on it that can hold frequencies and that holds intentions and that holds literally Bible verses. We put 40 Bible verses on every single patch of ours
Oh,
because we really believe that the word of the Lord should be connected to your energy system as part of it. So that's our frequency
wow.
technology and really important. So any questions on light or frequencies before I move on to the ancient wisdom?
No, I think that gives and folks, of course, you'll be giving your website and ways that people can follow and get more information here before we're done, but I think that's a good summary, but yeah, next topic,
Okay,
2,000
sounds
years
good.
of
So
ancient wisdom and herbs.
yeah. So this is the first one. So there's four pillars, right? There's light, frequencies, fuel, and faith. So the fuel pillar, as I call it, is important, right? Because it's one. There's the way to eat correctly, and you putting the right nutrients in the body. But one of the things the Lord taught me about was as I was doing research on the Bible and developed a relationship with Him, I started doing the research on all the biblical ingredients in the Bible, right? The nutrients in the Bible. So I did a lot of research. I'm like, hey, maybe I could come up with some health solution or a supplement that would help people with their health. And so I was researching all of that. But then the Lord led me to this amazing practitioner in California who had this molecular hydrogen blend. It's actually a magnesium blend, but when I learned more about molecular hydrogen and what it does inside the human body, I'm just like, that's amazing. How do we get that in people's body? And then when I started researching the benefits of it, there's literally thousands of scientific reports that have been done on molecular hydrogen inside the body. And I was like, my gosh, if we could add the seven, I took the seven best biblical herbs and superfoods that complemented what molecular hydrogen do. and we created a product called Exodus because it's got 7 amazing herbs. It's got organic barley grass and wheatgrass, which really give you the nutrients that most people are missing today. Most people are not eating the right nutrients. It's got saffron in it, and saffron's just amazing for stress reduction is one of the big benefits of it. And then it's got aloe. Aloe's got hundreds of benefits, but one of the big ones is gut health, which is very important. Then it's got cumin, frankincense, and myrrh. And the
Wow.
combination of those three really helps with the inflammation response. Like you mentioned, I have a podcast, and my
Hmm.
podcast, I interview holistic practitioners a lot, and they all tell me that inflammation is the source of disease. So if you can reduce inflammation in the body, then it's going to help you from getting more disease. And so the Exodus product is, got those three ingredients, which really help. And then you look at molecular hydrogen, and just one real quick, but it's really important to understand how cool molecular hydrogen is. Molecular hydrogen acts as a master antioxidant inside the body. So when it gets into the bloodstream, it's got little micro nanobubbles that are so small. It's like hydrogen is the smallest element that God created, right? So not only did He create light, He created hydrogen. Hydrogen is the smallest element, so it can cross the blood-brain barrier. And when it gets into the bloodstream, it goes and searches out the sentient cells or the zombie cells, the bad cells that are in your body, and attaches to them and gets rid of them and it extracts the bad cells. But it also finds the good cells, and on the good cells, it helps the mitochondria process produce more ATP, which is your energy system. So it helps the good mitochondria and it gets rid of the bad. And so that's why they call it a master and or a selective antioxidant is it goes in and it's smart. The molecular hydrogen says, you're bad. We need to go get rid of you. And you're good. So let's make you better. Right. And so it's really amazing thing that it does
Yeah.
inside the human body. And we've got a supplement that gives you all those good herbs and superfoods that help you with your health, but then adds the molecular hydrogen. So just that in and of itself is super, super cool. That's the Exodus part of the fuel pillar. And then I always add nutrition in there because we are what we eat. And that's the thing that I learned as a youth when I was running. Right, is whatever you put in your body fuels your body, and that's been really important to my health journey as well.
You
That's
know,
that's the free that's a fuel pillar. And the fourth pillar is the faith pillar. So I don't want to ignore the faith pillar because the faith pillar is really the underlying component to all of it. So every
yes.
single product that we ship, we have a prayer guide that goes with it because we want you to use your mouth, right? The Bible tells us there's power in the tongue, right? So you need to use that. And when you do use that, your mind is hearing you say it. So you're using your ears and you're actually speaking it out loud, and your eyes are reading it off of the chart. And you combine the mind, body, and spirit in your health, and it's so incredibly powerful. So you combine light therapy, frequency therapy, fuel therapy, and the faith therapy, and it's not 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. It's 1 × 1 × 3 times. It multiplies to where if you combine all of them, you're getting amazing advancements in your health. So that's what I've created. It's called the Light Code, and I believe that's why the Lord has me here on this earth is to help people with that. You can choose one or the other, or you can choose all four, but the combination of them as you start stacking them on top of each other, the benefits are just awesome. So it's really
Yeah.
fun to see people's transformations.
Yeah, that's extraordinary. Yeah, and I can definitely concur that this is your purpose, this is your call, and you're using your voice to present that and to expand that, and it's for the glory of God because God does
Amen.
want His people well. You know, you mentioned
Yeah.
the power of the tongue. Of course, we know James talks about that, but you look at that. Well, what happened? How did light come about? How did anything come about? God spoke it. And what happens with the power of our tongue when we speak something from his word? It doesn't return void. It takes on that same power. And I mean, with the power of our tongue, we confess Jesus, we are saved. We confess him with our tongue. And so folks out there, when you confess pieces of truth that are biblically based, it has life to it. It takes on a form. It is sourced in the Father, the creator that
Yes.
spoke all things into existence. So I really
Amen.
appreciate your fourth pillar.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
this is
it's key. Yeah.
fascinating.
It's so
Absolutely. But
important.
before we go on, because we'll probably still have a few more things to say, but and normally I wait till the end, but let people know how they can get Exodus, how they can follow you. Go ahead and present that now, and then we'll do a few more things before we wrap up.
Yeah, sounds good. So it's pretty simple. It's exodusstrong.com. So Exodus, then think of strong .com. Very, very simple website. And it's got the whole light code system there. And it's just a great way. We have these red light therapy mats that are just amazing because you lay down on this red light therapy mat and it covers the entire body. And red light is so cool. It literally helps the mitochondria process from the light, right? So it helps your mitochondria work right. And 69% of Americans say that after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they are tired at work, right? It's like, no, you shouldn't be tired at work. And that's why I love the faith pillar so much of part of our system is it's like if you're not feeling well then you're going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to be netflixing and chilling. You're not going to make a difference for Christ. You're not going to make a difference. But if I can get you well and I can get you healthy, and guess what? You're going to be excited about it. You're going to go talk to that neighbor that you maybe haven't been talking to, or that the Lord is prodding you to go talk to. You're going to have the energy to go do that, and you're going to make a difference in this world. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's like, let's get people healthy. Let's go make a difference for the Lord.
Amen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's wonderful. So they can order your product then by going to your website?
Yeah, you can go to
Yeah.
exodusstrong.com. We have our red light therapy products there. We have
Okay.
our
And it's all
frequency
right there.
therapies
Okay.
there. Yeah, we have the Exodus product there. And then, like I said, everything comes with a prayer guide that goes along with it.
I understand you will be having a book coming out soon as well.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So literally, I spent the last 4 or 5 months working on the light code is the name of the book, right? So far,
Good.
it's not actually officially published. It's in publication right now. We're doing the final touches on it. And I am very excited about the light code because that's literally going to be Exodus Strong is going to be the home of the light code system. Is what I believe the Lord is directed me to, and that's really amazing because I'll go to health conferences like I just did this last weekend, and it's neat. There's 100 different technologies that are part of this health conference, and I'm just a sponge, right? I'm just learning everything that Lord is teaching me, but it just keeps coming back to those four pillars. Like I learned this amazing machine that's a frequency machine, but it's really expensive. It's like $3,000, right? And it's like, okay, there's not everyone's gonna be able to afford a $3,000 frequency machine for their house, right? So I've got these frequency solutions that are $50, $60, right? That people can try and they can get started in their health. And but hey, if you really need some advanced treatments, guess what? I'm going to make sure that I understand how all that works. So as you come to me and you need help, I'm going to be able to direct you to some really significant advancements in health. So I'm just real excited about building this community of
Yeah.
people who want to help themselves and try to do as naturally as possible. And then how do we integrate this AI world with health, and how do you manage it? Because man, you go ask chat gtp or whatever it is, whatever the AI system of choice that you use, and you ask it a health question, it's pretty scary, some of the answers that are coming back. And so I just caution people that you got to be really careful. You can't use the chat GPT can't or AI. I'll just make it an AI statement. AI can do amazing things with health, and it's going to make huge advancements in health. And I'm
Yeah.
very excited about that. But as a person just asking it for advice, it can really give you poor advice in certain situations. So you have to be really, really careful about what you're getting from that. Make sure you cross reference it against multiple things and multiple items and multiple people before you start taking action on AI's recommendation for health. So that's another important factor.
Yeah, absolutely. And you alluded to that earlier, what you put in, you get out. Who's to police the bias that goes into it? And so all we're getting is data. And I'm one of those that refuse to see Alexa or any of these kinds of things as slightly human or having a personality. It's data. It's all it is information. Stuff's been put in. Now, a lot of stuff, granted, but that's all you're getting out. And so they're able to formulate even the speech and the way it's delivered And again, there's a purpose there that's not necessarily in our best interest, but that's here nor there. But to your point, I'm not sure that biblical reference in Scripture is put into these AI formats as much as just information, and that can be all over the place. And
I'm having a really fun time, just real quick, Dr. T, that
yeah,
really fun time bringing in the gospel and bringing in the information and having AI systems that are only focused on very specific information. So I can feed it the Bible, I can feed it my labs, I can feed it my research that I've done about specific things, and then I can encase that in and let it analyze just that. And when you do that, it's absolutely incredible what the results you can get, right? Because it just combines all these things and it can look at things in a way that my simple brain can't come up with, right? It's way, way, way smarter than I am. But I've also been able to maintain and give it the information that only I want it to have, rather than all the junk
yeah.
that's out there. So that's an important thing. You can train these things to be pretty smart if you give it the right context, the right data. So that's important.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some listeners out there that are thinking and saying here, "But isn't that biased as well?" And my answer to that would be yes. And so anything we put in is from a bias. But what
Right.
I propose to you is to think about the source of the bias. And
Right.
this bias isn't coming from Rob's thinking. It's not coming from my thinking. It's come from biblical truth. The Bible has been written for thousands of years. It's been hand down, it's been tested, been researched more than any other book. More archaeological finds and substantiations have come from the Bible than anything. It is a
That's
great
right.
source for discovery. And so we're basically speaking that, where with this other stuff that's going in from a bias on the radical kind of ideology is one that is not based in scripture, but one is based on opinions of men and women that have changed over time. So, pick your bias, I guess. Pick your poison. There's
Yeah,
a saying,
that's a
pick your
great way
bias.
of
Well, I'm gonna
yeah,
bank on biblical truth and God and it being something that's reliable as opposed to a human's opinion that has changed continuously over time and won't be the same in 50 years as it is now, but the Bible will
that's right.
be. So yes, it is a bias, but it's a bias that's reliable. And so that's where I'm putting my trust and my faith. But we'll wrap up kind of with this, Rob, because you've presented a lot of just hugely valuable information, and I know folks, including myself, are interested in looking at your Exodus product and your other resources. But you also mentioned somewhere in there about resistance. Why do you think natural health in this medical model world that we live in, why is there on the same time resistance to a natural health approach? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, unfortunately, when the more research I did on the takeover of our healthcare system, it was all about this, right?
Yeah,
Literally, everything was related to that. And if we're healthy, then the gravy train goes away. And so it's pretty sick when you look at a lot of the research that I've done, and that they don't want you to die, but they don't want you well. And so it's really bad. It's like they want you to take a prescription, and then that all drugs have some type of side effect, right? And so, well, the research I did was really scary. The average senior is on 15 different prescription medications in a year. The average. So that's just way too many because each one of those have a side effect. And then you go to a specialist about that problem that you have, and that specialist gives you another prescription, and then that drug has a side effect, and just it just snowballs. And so there's just a really big bias and a lot of money that's being targeted to that industry. And so people that come at it from a now natural health perspective and a holistic health perspective, we don't get the funding, we don't get the resources, we don't get the exposure, we don't get the media attention that these other systems do, because there's no gravy train coming into it. And so that's why it's tough, right? There's been really amazing doctors and stuff that are practitioners who unfortunately are no longer with us. So you start doing research
yeah.
related to some of that, and it gets pretty scary about some of the things related to some of the practitioners who are just no longer here. And it's like they should be. And there's just motivations that are really the wrong things. And so I do caution people though that all natural health is very important, because it was a really important lesson for me to learn, was that you still can utilize modern medicine for specific things. For chronic disease, modern medicine stinks. But for chronic disease, there's lots and lots of all natural health issues and or solutions to help you with chronic issues. But if you have acute issues and acute problems, man, go get it, because there's lots of major advancements from a acute care perspective. So that's really important for people to understand. But really, to simplify the answer to your question, it's about that, right? Is the reason why there's such a bias against natural health. But
Yeah.
it's God created this temple so amazing that, man, you give it the right fuel, you give it the right water, you give it the right nutrients, you give it the right sunlight, you give it the right air, and you breathe correctly. It's just incredible what your body can do if you treat it the way God intended it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've also gotten more into earthing.
Yes.
I love to go barefoot. I have some moccasins that are earthing moccasins, and but I can literally, Rob, when I walk barefoot in the grass, I can feel the energy. I really can. It's
Dr. T, is
amazing.
so funny because I that was one of as I was learning this whole world. It's been the last 6 years. Early on, I have very sensitive feet, so my wife she's early on this. She was research all these neat health things, and I thought she was. I'm like, come on, give me a break, right? Like, I don't want to put my feet on the grass. But then I learned it about grounding and
Yeah,
earthing, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, so now I
yeah,
love it, right? So it's like
yeah,
so amazing
yeah,
that I take off my socks and shoes and I ground every single day because
yeah,
it literally discharges the negative energy from your
yeah,
body and refills it with God's given energy. And it's just like it is scientifically proven. So
yeah,
I can sell you a $5,000 mat that you can put under your desk, or guess what? You do it for free. You take off your socks and shoes and you go
yeah,
outside and get it on God's
absolutely.
given earth, right?
Yeah,
So I love that you said that because yeah, that's one of the things I like to
yeah.
tell people. There's 7 things that you can do for free that are really good for your health. So I'll do them really really fast.
Okay, yeah,
One
okay.
is hydration, right? Most people are not drinking enough, so they need to get. I'm about 200 pounds, so I need 100 ounces of water. So just do get that in your body. It's really important. Do get filtered water and put some lemon and some Celtic salt into it to get some nutrients, but hydration is super important. The second one is just get vitamin D. That's the thing that woke me up about this whole healthcare industry was vitamin D. It was being suppressed, but God designed the sun, and vitamin D is very important. Without vitamin D, we don't have oxygen. So very very important to get that early morning sun, and then breathing. You can do breathing techniques. It's like that can add 7 years to your life. And it's free. We all have to breathe. So if you just learn these breathing techniques, it's amazing. And then, like you said, Dr. T, you get ground. You can do those
Grounding.
3 things outside in the morning. You go get a little bit of morning sunlight, you breathe, and you take your socks and shoes off, and you do all 3 of those in a 10-15 minute period, and bam, you're doing really, really well. And then just make sure you get some nutrients in the body that are proper nutrients. We need about 96 nutrients every day, and most people are not getting them in their food. It's almost impossible to do nowadays, really hard. So you need to probably supplement with some good healthy supplements and then move, right? You need to move. And if we can you get up and around and move, it's like it's amazing how important that is. God designed us to be moving around, not to be sitting in a chair all day long every day. So
Absolutely.
those are things that you can do for absolutely free, and if you want to use some of the light code system, and I can help you in any way, I would love to help you. But just go do those few things, and then you're going to start seeing how you start stacking those together, and you're like, wow, I feel really good today. I slept really good today. I have energy today because you're doing those basic things. And then when you start doing those basic things, it gets addictive because you're like, man, I feel so good. How can I continue to be better? And then
Yeah,
you start losing weight, you start getting more muscle in your body, and you start, it's just things start going well. It's like, wow, this is fun.
yeah.
It's amazing how God designed this awesome temple of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. What you presented throughout this show today has been absolutely awesome and a huge, huge amount of takeaway. But if folks take anything away, those last 7 things you mentioned, right there is a jump start. I mean, that's
That's
gonna
right.
get the motor going, get the blood flowing, get the brain thinking, get the body absorbing. It's gonna do all those things. Yeah, check out Rob's website, follow those last 7 things, and I think we're well on the way to experiencing a much better health perspective. Did you have any final comment or thought you wanted to
Yeah, the
mention
only
before
thing
I
I
wrap
want
it
to
up?
tell people is if you woke up today, God has breath in your lungs.
Mm,
He breathes his breath into you to create you. And if you still have breath in your lungs today, he has a plan for your life today. So don't discount that. And no matter where you are, how high or low you are in the valley or at the top of the mountain, he has a plan for your life. So just realize that, and then just start developing a personal relationship with him, and ask him how what he wants you to do. And you're going to be amazed at the transformation. And just make sure you utilize that breath and use it for good. And like he does everything for us for good. So try to do the same.
amen. I concur with that fully. And God does have a plan and a purpose for every one of his creations. And we often, because of all the stuff that goes on in our midst, we often get detoured and it's easy to get distracted. And then we experience a lot of negatives. And so all those things can keep us away from focusing on him. So no matter what your situation today, no matter your health condition or your financial situation or any situation, as Rob was just sharing, if you can just turn your focus to the Father and say, God, I just need to start fresh. I need to start new, or I need a bump, or I need encouragement, or I need to restart my motor. God will provide you whatever it is you need. He will meet your need wherever you are at today. And then you can begin that journey to purpose, a voice with purpose, but also to better health and walking in knowing Creator God who has created you marvelously. And within that context, He has equipped us in a way that we can create that natural healing without having to rely so much on these artificial things out there that, yeah, they can do some things, but they also create as many things as they do on the negative side. So just some things to think about. Rob, it's been a great honor and privilege to have you on the show today. I also want to thank each of you and hope that you will join me weekly as I bring you Voices with Purpose. Please check out my website where you will find resources and information on services, as well as my new book, Awaken, Exposing the Web of Deception, Threatening Our Faith, Family, and Freedom. There's also a free ebook called Peace Pace, ready for you to download. So until next time, may God bless you, and may He be a light unto your path. May He help you discover and activate your voice with purpose. Dr. T out.